Welcome to Inside Lake Forest. I'm Eileen Luby, your host, and today we're visiting at the Career Resource Center located in the Grove Cultural Campus of Lake Forest. Let's step inside. Hi, Jan. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Eileen. Thanks so much for coming here and joining us today.
Thank you for having us. Jan Leahy, who's the Executive Director here at the Career Resource Center. Tell me, Jan, when did this all begin here? And I know we'll get into some more history, but can you give me a brief overview?
Absolutely. We started in the late 80s because that was the first downsizing of white-collar workers or professionals. Previous to that, it was mostly manufacturing. And so the community, some of the deacons of the First Presbyterian Church of Lake Forest decided they needed to do something to help those folks.
Okay.
And so that's how it really started. And then many other groups in the community got involved, and then wider beyond the community. And so we moved from a couple of people per week to now we see, over 1,000 people every year.
Wow, and we hate to see so many people who are in the job search, but that's the reality of the world today. Now, Jan, there's a couple different areas I know we'll take a tour. Some conference rooms, private consultation, computer lab, etc. But I'd like us to go maybe take a seat where I can learn more about you and the Career Resource Center.
Absolutely, I'd love to share.
Great. Jan, you mentioned that the Career Resource Center began back in the 1980s. Can you tell me where it's moved from and how you ended up here over in Grove Cultural Campus?
Absolutely. It's a very funny story actually in lots of ways, because when they started it, they thought that we would be here for anywhere from 3 months to 3 years, and that when the recession ended, we would close our doors and never be needed again. So 22 years later, here we are. And so the idea that we would never be needed is really, quite kind of a little joke in the process. But we were first in the First Presbyterian Church, Mons, and then moved over to West Campus. And then we actually were there until 2002. And so during that period of time, we went from just kind of 3 days a week, not a whole lot of process, not a lot into that, and then we raised enough money so we could be open full time.
Great.
And they could bring me on board. And so we really expanded services tremendously and went full time, and we have a lot of process. We became a 501c3. And in 2002, we moved over here because we were kicked out of the high school because they were going to tear it down at that time. And actually, it was a really good thing for us because we were able to double our space. And so one of the things that happens here is that we have to, and it's fun, morph and change our services all the time because we have to reflect what's going on in the economic environment. We also have to make sure everything we do is relevant.
Sure.
And so one of the fun things for me is that nothing is stagnant here. And so you're constantly thinking about the next newest thing you can do. We used to not market the center much because we felt people would just find us, but now we've realized that we really have to do a lot more marketing. So we have a new website that we put together in 2010. We're doing a lot more e-marketing. We're going to get on YouTube pretty soon. But all around helping candidates be successful.
That's great. Well, and it's you probably have things in the newspaper as well, but do you get a lot through referrals?
Yeah, actually most of our people come from referrals, and it would be former candidates. And so I don't know too many businesses that can actually tote the fact that 80% of their candidates come through referrals. And so it's really terrific.
Great. Now, Jan, tell me how you got into this role as executive director, because you've been on board here for quite some time.
Yes. So I'm on my 17th year, which is phenomenal. I actually thought that I would be coming on board because I was not finishing raising my family, but I was at the point where I could go back to work.
Sure.
And I was looking for something to do, and I thought I would do this to start out with and then move on in a corporate setting, which is what I was in before. And I found this so rewarding and challenging and fun that I'm still here.
Great. So you've been here 17 years.
Yeah.
Now, talk to me a little bit, Pam, about what type of programs you offer, because I believe you have a pretty wide scale. And as you said, you're always inventing and creating new to fit the current economic economic situation.
Yeah. You know, our services are extraordinarily comprehensive. And probably the biggest and most important thing is they're all individualized and personalized. So it's not a cookie cutter approach. So we have advisors who will meet in private consultation with our candidates, and they will meet with them throughout their job search. It's not a one-time process. And so when they meet with them, for each individual that walks in the door to talk with them, it may be different advice. It may be different strategies, because they all come to us with different backgrounds and knowledge. That would be one of the premier pieces we have. We also have educational programs, and we are fortunate, we'll talk a little bit about volunteers, who will come in, who are in the workplace, and they will bring current knowledge right to the door here for our candidates. And so there'll be programs related to job search and some about motivation and financial and emotional support too.
That's wonderful that it really carries a wide variety, as you said, kind of the support, the camaraderie aspect, the motivation side, but then really those practical skills at what are companies really looking for, and what do people need to do to sharpen it up a little bit, or maybe they're looking for a career change and they can see what's out there.
Yeah, and the one thing that's really important is anyone in this process should never do it alone. You've got to have a competitive edge, especially in this market, but in most markets you do, and having someone help you articulate the strengths that you bring to table, and actually sometimes uncovering them, because the things that we all are good at, we tend to discount. And so we want people to really pay attention to what their unique qualities are, and we can help them through that process. And then hopefully they'll have more satisfying results, because we're focused on results for them. We want them to be successful, we want them to be satisfied, and we get great marks from our alumni.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned volunteers, that it's a very one-on-one for the candidates and a volunteer working with them as an advisor. Can you talk to me more about those type of people, and will I have a chance to meet one today?
Yeah, you absolutely will. Actually, our foundation from the very beginning, it's a model that I think other people are using now, but we kind of started this model for this process. We rely almost entirely on volunteers. So we have one full-time person, which is me. I have 3 part-timers who work for us, and 120 volunteers.
Wow.
And actually more than that. But I mean, and they come in and they deliver services, but also they'll handle operations. So my computer technician is a volunteer. My financial person is a volunteer. But we have advisors who are volunteers. They have had illustrious careers in business, and then they come back because they want to give back and help folks.
That's great. And they come from Lake Forest, Lake Bluff area, or from all over kind of the Lake County area?
They come from all over.
Okay.
More of them would come from closer communities.
Sure.
But we get them from as far south as Wilmette, and as far west as Palatine,
Great.
and as far north, I'm trying to think, maybe Wadsworth.
Great. Would you say that your candidates are also from that widespread area coming here to the CRC?
Yeah, our candidates probably wider spread.
Great,
So about
okay.
over 60% are Lake County.
Okay.
And somewhere in the 30% are Northern Cook County. But
Okay.
sometimes we'll see someone from Joliet,
Wow.
sometimes Southern Wisconsin.
Well, that's really a tribute to this organization, that people are coming from so far to come and get great advice and support and the networking that they need to move forward.
Yeah, you know, we have a nice reputation and we're very proud of that, but we work really hard to make sure that we help the folks, because not only do they need to know how to do this, but they need the support during that process, and that's a real part of what we do.
Fabulous. So let me have a chance to meet our volunteer, and I think you also mentioned we can go ahead and meet one of the candidates today.
Yes, absolutely.
Great, and then we'll connect back after that.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Hi, Eileen Luby. It's
Hi,
nice to meet
Eileen.
you.
Come in.
And thank you for taking the time to meet with me to talk about the Career Resource Center.
Okay.
Bill, you are a volunteer here, kind of in the advisory role. Is that correct?
Right, yes.
Tell me how you became involved in this position.
I retired. When I
Okay.
retired, I was looking for some way to volunteer and kind of stay active in the business world. So I saw an ad about volunteers and signed up.
What do you do in your position here as an advisor?
Well, we meet one-on-one with candidates who are, they develop a folder and they put down their background and what they're looking for in terms of their job search, and we try to understand their background and try to develop a plan for them to maximize their search.
Do you find that the candidates are typically looking for realistic positions, or do you think that that's a strategy approach that you can help them lead them to the right place?
Well, I think most of them are totally unprepared to do a job search, particularly in this environment where there's so many people looking. And so we try to pin down the area in which they're most likely to find a job, where they have the strongest background, and then help them put together a resume and a search campaign that can hopefully result in the best success for that person. So it's very personalized.
Wonderful. And Bill, if you had one piece of advice to, say, a candidate who's in the job search field now and sees our show and learning about the Career Resource Center for the first time, what would you advise them to do?
Well, in terms of coming here, you mean?
Whether it's coming here and your advice would be, yes, come here and meet with us, or any other piece of advice that you would suggest.
Well, my advice is get help, because you just can't go into it with all the on the website opportunities that people try to use, which are not very effective. They are probably wasting their time. They probably don't have an effective resume. They're not directing their energy in those areas where they're most likely to find help and find a job. So yes, come here and get help.
Wonderful. Well, Bill, thank you for your time today. I'm going to go
My
meet with one
pleasure.
of your candidates next.
All right.
Thank you. Tell me how you got involved with the Career Resource Center.
Well, I had lost my job and I was scanning the Deerfield What's Happening.
Okay.
And in there it said Career Resource Center, and they had listed a lot of the individual programs. And I thought, this is what I need. I need that extra shot in the arm, and I needed to learn how to help myself find a job. So I started coming here.
Great. Now, how long have you been coming here? And can you tell me a little bit about some of the programs that you've been involved in?
What I really like about the CRC is the fact that they have the one-on-one advisors, because you get that personal information that's specifically for you. It's I absolutely love that portion of it, and these ladies and gentlemen are really, really knowledgeable because they've been in the work industry. I've been coming here for about 5 months, and I've been also going to a lot of the seminars, which tells me what's out in the marketplace and what the employers are looking for today. Totally different than 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It's a different type of environment. So I really value that portion of the program. And also I like the fact that I get to meet other people here and that are pretty much in the same boat, and it's wonderful because I like the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're just not alone out there. There are a lot of people in the same position. The other thing that I joined recently was an accountability group that keeps me on track, because after a while you can kind of slip and slide, and you're looking for more motivation, and that's what I get from the accountability groups, is the motivation to keep me on track, to keep me focused, to keep me going, and to keep me positive.
Great.
So,
Well, it's such a pleasure meeting you, and we certainly hope that you find a position very soon, but it's nice to know that you're getting something out of this program and working with all these wonderful volunteers.
it is. It's a wonderful program, and I would suggest anyone that is out there looking for another position to come here. So,
Great,
thank
thank you.
Thank you.
Jan, thanks again. I had a great opportunity meeting with both the volunteer advisor, Bill Maines, and a candidate, Pam. Could you give me a quick tour and we can show me all around?
Oh, I'd be happy to do that.
Great.
So as we're right here, we're going by our conference room, which is where we have programs. And so
Okay.
we can have as many as 35 to 45 individuals in there.
Great.
And then as we move forward, we're going to be passing one of the rooms that we use for our advisory sessions. So we have a session ongoing right now. So the advisor will meet with a candidate for an hour, and they They can do that periodically throughout their job search, unlimited number of times, in getting strategies and being supported in that process.
And that's what we talk about, that one-on-one.
Absolutely, in that process. And so as we move forward, we will be heading into our, we'll be heading into our computer lab, where candidates can come and use the 8-station computer lab to do research, to apply for opportunities. We actually have a consultant that will be coming in here and working with them individually, helping them identify companies that they might be interested in, helping them change forms of they can't send Word documents to companies,
Sure,
so they change it to a PDF
format.
or something like that.
Well, Bill mentioned that really you can't just do a job search by yourself online. He
Well, if you
mentioned that
spend
it's-
your time online, you're not going to be very successful.
Right, and he said it's so important to come and get help. So it's nice to see, though, that obviously with the technology these days, you are utilizing all of the facets of job search and job assistance. So it's great to see that
Yeah,
here.
thanks.
So Jan, we're walking through the kitchenette and we're here in the candidate resource area. So you have a lot of books and a conference table.
So this is a place where our candidates can actually do their work, wait for their appointments, lots of reference materials. We have 3 workstations here where they can actually bring their laptops and hook their own laptops up. They have phones, and these are acoustical tiles, so their conversations are at least semi-private in the process, and usually you can't hear them. We do have accountability groups who will meet here and talk about what they need to do for the next week.
And Jan, talking with all of the different facets here and all the people, can you tell me some of the feedback that you receive from the candidates who are able to find jobs?
Absolutely. We just did a survey this fall, and we were astounded and very pleased with the results. They're always terrific. But the 4 things candidates most appreciated was, number 1, the individualized attention. Number 2, the insights they receive from advisors when they're talking with them. Number 3, the knowledge they learned from the educational programs. And number 4 was the ability to stay more positive by using services here in that process. And typically 74 to 88% of our candidates are successful.
Wonderful.
Which is a really high mark.
Wonderful. Well, that's fabulous. We'll head back through
All
the
right,
office.
thank you.
Jan, when is the Career Resource Center open?
We're actually open 5 days a week. One of them is an evening. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're open from 9:30 to 4:30.
Okay.
On Tuesdays, we're open in the evening from 4 to 9, and those are for people who are working or are doing contract work.
Okay.
And on Fridays, it's half day, so it's 9:30 to 12:30.
Okay, great. And you have a website, which you said that was something that you've really developed over the last couple of years. What is that web address?
It's careerresourcecenter.org. Lots of R's and E's together.
Wonderful. Well, that's easy to remember. And how about your telephone number?
847-295-5626, and there should always be someone answering it unless we're closed.
Wonderful. Well, Jan, it has been such a pleasure meeting you today, touring the facilities, as well as meeting with a couple others to really find out the heart of what the Career Resource Center is.
Well,
Thank you
Eileen,
for
it's
that.
a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for watching Inside Lake Forest. As you know, today we've been here visiting at the Career Resource Center located at the Grove Cultural Campus in Lake Forest. This is your job search partner, so if you'd like to come volunteer, contact them, or if you are in the job search, be sure to contact them and utilize their services.